people who are engaged, okay, and have this happen. So they haven't been married yet. Are they also seeing you like to end an engagement? Because like, what happens with the ring? Like, what happens with the
like
canceled
who
wedding?
gets the ring?
Like, who pays the vendors? Like, how does that work?
So yes, I absolutely have those clients. And I say, if you have, my first piece of advice, absolutely blanket advice, is if you are having second thoughts about getting married, then do not get married. Period.
Yeah.
End of story. There's no question in my mind. Unless they're a millionaire without a prenup, don't get married. That's it.
Good advice.
So
good advice.
There's no reason to do it. Wait for the right one. But yes, so an engagement is really like a contractual relationship. From back in the day, the ring was presented in consideration of that contract. So someone proposes to you and they give you a ring and they say, "Will you marry me?" You say yes. Then if you get married, you can keep the ring. If you don't get married, you're supposed to return the ring. And there are some exceptions, as there are always exceptions to every rule in law.
Is it true that if you get a ring on a holiday, then it's considered a gift and doesn't count, or is that an old wives' tale?
Yes, in the event that it's a holiday where you get a gift. So let's say you
get to keep that shit.
Well, yeah, let's say you're Muslim or Jewish or something, and you don't celebrate Christmas. You never celebrate Christmas, and you've been together for 5 years and you've never exchanged Christmas presents, and you get this ring on Christmas Day. Then no, there would be an argument in court to suggest that you never exchanged Christmas presents, so you didn't give it as a gift. But if you're in front of your whole family on Christmas Eve and you finally get your present from your boyfriend and he gives you a diamond, then
this shit is yours.
Okay.
Men, are you listening? Do not.
Present, not just my engagement
ring. Everyone does it too. You see on Facebook.
Do not propose on a holiday.
Yeah, it's actually funny.
Save yourself.
I know jewelers, when they give the ring to guys when they're picking it up, like they tell them, don't propose on Valentine's Day. If you usually give her a gift, don't propose on Christmas.
Wow, jewelers are sneaky and smart.
Well, at the end of the day, the guy's entitled to the ring back. And even if it's Christmas or whatever, if the person that gave the ring gets a lawyer and everybody lawyers up, you're going to negotiate it. At the end of the day, the guy's going to get the ring returned.
Oh.
And I'm going to say this. What do you want to keep it for? Like, it's bad juju. Send
it
back.
Is true. Yeah.
Don't keep it.
That's true. It's funny. We've had women like write in and say like, my fiance is trying to give me his like mother's who's divorced,
divorced, and I'm like, oofa, get a new ring, throw it out.
But maybe take the time and reset it in a different stone or something.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree. You don't really want that karma to follow you, but they're expensive. So maybe your hubby can only buy you a cubic zirconium or something. I don't know.
We'll set it in a big setting and call it a day.
Nancy, so if you're engaged and you plan this big wedding and you end up calling off the wedding, who pays the vendors?
So,
because those vendors get paid no matter
what. Vendors
are
not fucking
rat trap.
I can tell you professional experience and personal experience on this one because I actually did this.
What?
Yes, I actually did this. So I was engaged before and we parted ways, and he was a great guy. I wish him very, very well. And he's married to a beautiful woman. They have kids, and I'm married to a wonderful man, and we have kids. So, all is well that ends well. But so that is really not, that's like contract law. So let's say you go to a vendor and you give them a $7,000 deposit. There's a huge contract, and it's like those 4 sheets of like a car dealership, right? Like white, pink, yellow paper.
Mm-hmm.
So on that contract, it says if you cancel within this much time, like how much of your deposit you surrender. If you cancel within 30 days and they lose money, like how much money you're going to get back. So if you both sign those contracts, which I guess my advice on this is, if you're going to get married and you're going to go through the process of having this big wedding, plan it together and, come up with the money together. And then, one party gets the photographer and the other person, the videographer or whatever, the florist or whatever. So that this way you guys are kind of liable for the same amount. But also you may want to try to negotiate that in the event your event is canceled for an unforeseen circumstance, like a breakup or a weather event or a death in the family, that if the venue covers, so they get another event on that day, if it's a one event venue, that they will, refund you a portion of the cost.
Right.
So this way you're not out the whole thing.
That's I didn't know that was an
My
option.
original blanket advice still maintains that if you're not sure, don't get married. But
I think that's very good advice.
I mean, I think that's the most common sense advice for people who
it's
do
hard,
not
though.
have
I've
any
been in
common
that
sense.
position. It's not an easy thing to do, and you're hurting a lot of people, and it's not just you. You know, you're marrying a family, and you have probably had a long relationship with that family, so it's really not emotionally easy to end an engagement or to say no, of course, or to end a relationship. And you know, a lot of times, especially like at our age and people that are a little younger, they date someone for so long, and then the next possible step is to get married. And you don't really want to break up with the person because you're not unhappy, but you know they're not really the one.
Yeah.
But then you're like, well, I'm kind of old. Where am I going to meet someone? I don't want to do online dating. Like this. If you don't let yourself get taken, you shouldn't do that because you know then you're leaving yourself not open to other better options.
Yes. Oh my God. We say this all the time. Like every second you're wasting your time with somebody is a second you're losing meeting someone new that you actually could fall in love with.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and yourself. People don't work on themselves enough. Like if you can't be happy with yourself, you can't be happy with anybody else.
Girl, I love that. You know, we both know a friend who could use that advice.
Yeah. Phone a friend.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
That's great. Last thing I want to touch on with you are prenups.
Yeah. Yay or nay?
Yay or nay?
Well, it depends. Okay, so I worked here for a woman who's an old school attorney. She's been practicing for like a million years, and she was a huge bitch. But she gave me some advice when I was a young lawyer and said, how much do you charge to draft a prenup? And I said, I have no idea. She said, the cost of your malpractice insurance. Because unfortunately, prenups are very difficult. Now I do them. I'm doing a couple right now. And, you know, I think that the goal when you're doing a prenup is to find an attorney that is going to explain to you the law as it relates to the assets that you have and the assets you're potentially going to obtain. What do I mean? So for example, Armando, my husband, he owns a condo in Florida where his mom lives, and he's owned it for his life.
Nice.
And I, before we got married, owned a house in Fairview that was my family's house. So those are premarital assets.
Mm-hmm.
So if you own them before the marriage, then they are likely not something that you have to divide when you get divorced. However, there are laws that make it so that if you guys always paid the mortgage from your joint bank account, or you put in a new floor or a new bathroom, or made improvements,
that all of a sudden you qualify
there, then it could make it so that the asset gets somewhat what we call transmuted. So, you know, as far as prenups are concerned, I don't, you know, if you don't have assets that are going to be invested in during the course of the marriage and they're premarital, most premarital assets in the state of New Jersey, because we're what's called an equitable distribution state, are not going to be transmuted into marital property. But I think that if you have a concern about your assets, you should absolutely reach out to an attorney and have a consultation to see whether or not the assets that you have now are subject to or might be subject to division if you get divorced in the future.
And so, Nancy, like, in order to get a prenup, you need to have assets, right? Like, that makes sense to do. Like, well, I'm not getting a prenup.
Can you think of a situation where you would want a prenup and you don't have any assets? I mean, no, that's not necessarily
What about
true.
Beetlejuice? Is he an asset?
Who's Beetlejuice?
My son, my dog.
Dog?
Oh, I thought it was Jeter Cat.
R.I.P.
Oh, Jeter Cat's probably a little old at this point, huh?
Yeah, a little bit under.
I get it.
A little bit under.
I forget how long it's been since we were in college. It's only like, what, 5 years since we graduated?
Yeah, right.
So, okay, what about Beetlejuice? So, okay, no, but it's actually a growing population of people that come in and they're like, oh, and I'm like, okay, what are your issues? What do you want? And they're like, I get the cat, or I get the dog.
The cat.
I get the cat.
I get the hamster.
I've actually had people, I had a case recently where the people agreed that they have a parenting time schedule for their dogs.
Yeah. What is
I
it called?
it.
What is it called?
There's a name for it.
Yeah, but what is it called?
Joint custody.
Joint custody.
They have a parenting time schedule and joint custody of their puppies, their cats, whatever. Listen, my position on this is cold. Okay. I'm going to get down to it. I have a dog, Duke. I love Duke. He's the most wonderful doggy in the world. But truth be told, if we got divorced, God forbid, my husband would probably take Duke. And he's going to be listening, being like, hell yeah, I'd fucking take Duke. Are you freaking kidding me? But I'm going to say this. When you're getting divorced, it's an awful time in your life. The two of you put your heads together and you know who should take the dog or the cat or the hamster or the goldfish. I mean, you know. And at the end of the day, especially if you don't have any children, holding on to that partner and going through a custody battle over the dog is only going to impede your ability to move on. And I know that's cold, and there's probably like animal activists out there that are like, oh my God, what a cold-hearted bitch. But at the end of the day, it's real. And I'm not going to, I tell people, I'm not going to fight over your Bob's sofa because it costs you more money for me to fight over him. And I'm going to tell you, there are millions of dogs and cats in this world that need good homes. Go get a new puppy.
True. That's great advice.
It's not nice. It's true. Unless you have kids and they're attached to the dog, and then maybe the dog goes with the kids. What do I know?
No, that sounds fair.
Different situations.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel like I had like a mini school session just now. I felt like I learned a ton.
Nancy, this is an incredible life to live.
Yeah.
Don't forget, guys, new clips air every Thursday. So see you next Thursday.
Hosted on dimlywit.com.
Even though we are not your best examples,
we're the best you've got.
So cheers, bitches.
Cheers. Make sure you subscribe to our channel for updates. And if you like this clip, share it with a friend.